Today I'm going to be talking to you about different brands of semis and what's best for you and which one I would prefer to have. So the four brands I'm going to be talking about today would be Peterbilt, Kenworth, Mack, or Freightliner. And then I have 7 criteria, which would be the engine, the transmission, the price if you would buy used or new, the bunk space, the gear ratios in the rear end, the towing capacity of the rear axles, and then the suspension. So the different kinds of engines are the Caterpillar C15, and then you also have the 12.9 liter PACCAR MX13, the 16 liter Mack MP10, or it is also called in a Volvo, or you have the Freightliner, which can either come with a Cummins X15 E5, or it's got a Detroit in it. So the transmissions are usually, most of them are 8. If you drive a manual, it is usually either a 13-speed or an 18-speed Eaton Fuller, or in a Freightliner, they can come with a Detroit transmission or an Eaton Fuller in them. So the price. So if you buy a Peterbilt 379 in good shape and everything, it's about $70,000 or more. And with a Kenworth, if you're buying used or new, it can range from $50,000 to $120,000. If And in a Mack, it depends on if you want just the truck or if you want, because usually Mack builds dump trucks. They go from $50,000 to $120,000 per truck, or I'm sorry, $130,000. And then the Freightliner is $50,000 to $100,000, depending on if you want to buy new or used. Used is usually the best, but if you're looking to buy a used truck, you should look at how many miles are on it, how if anything's ever been rebuilt on it, like the engine or transmission, and what's been done to it, if it's been taken care of. So then I'm going to talk about the gear ratios. So the gear ratios, so if you want a higher gear ratio, if you're pulling heavier loads, you would want a bigger gear or higher gear ratio, so that way it can pull a hill better and not have to run super high RPMs to pull the hill. So on a Peterbilt, the towing capacity of each rear axle would be 38,000 plus for each one. And then for the Kenworth, it's 23,000 for a single axle or 58,000 for tandems. Then the max would be 80,000 plus. That also depends on if you have if you buy a dump truck or just their single truck. And the Freightliner is 66,000 per axle. So then you have the suspension. So some of the suspension on trucks are either the airbags to lift the rear end up for when you have a heavier load on, or you have also the suspension on like the sleeper or the cab. A lot of them have either air suspension or shock absorbers for the sleeper, or they have leaf springs. And then for the rear ends, they have leaf springs or air ride, but most of the trucks have air ride. So my recommendation would be the Peterbilt, because I hear everyone I've talked to that drives one says they are super reliable. They're workhorses. They love to just go, and they do a lot of work, and they are very reliable, and then they have the bigger bunk space in them, which is a 70. You can either get a 78 to 87-inch long sleeper with the Peterbilt. So I mean, if you're like traveling cross country, or if you got to stay in it longer than a couple days, it's bigger and you can have more stuff like a fridge or microwave and stuff like that. You just got more room to do stuff in. Thank you.